So in this part 12, I think we're in part 12 now, we're going to be setting up the data model for the common objects. So in this case, I'm going to keep the two windows side by side. So not this one, it has to be this one. So let me just keep the two windows side by side like this. Okay, so we want to set up the data models. So as I told you, there are different data models that can be used. And one good thing about this is that I've actually created all these data models right here. So the first one we want to take a look is the parameters. So if I go to the models here, you see all this has been created. So if I open one of them, you can see that we have all these. We have name, address, city, phone, mobile, and website. Now what I want to do is I'm going to set up these data models, and I'm going to then explain a bit about the relationship to you. So let's first do this. Let me just go back. So the first thing I'd like us to do is, so instead of typing it out, I'm just going to the parameters here, and I'm going to more or less I think the easiest thing to do is simply to download this models folder. So I'm going to simply, I think I could download, yeah. So let me click on this download right here. So I think it downloads to, okay, say zipping file, and it downloads, okay. So if I open it up now, it opens up in my Finder. So let me just show you where it opens up. So it opens up right here. So you can see it right here. You can see all the files right here. Okay. So I'm going to copy all of them. I'm going to copy all of them and just paste them right inside the parameters model. The reason is because what we just downloaded here is for the parameters. And why we are downloading the parameters first is because every other model has some relationship with the parameters. So I'm going to go to my application and go to the parameters and open the models and simply paste it right there. I think that should be fine. So let me paste it right there. Alright, so here we have everything pasted, alright? Okay, so what are all these? So let me start with the common object. Now, if you look at, let's go back here. The common object, you need to understand the concept of the common object. If you look at the screen, you see the employee type has 3 fields, ID, description, and details. Job role has 3 fields, ID, description, and details. Employee status has 3 fields, ID, description, and details, and so on. Many objects has the same set of fields. So instead of duplicating all these objects, you simply create one model, I call it common object, and all these other objects or models that is exactly the same will simply inherit from that. So this common object is this object that has 3 fields, ID, description, and details, and every other thing that is the same is going to inherit from that. So vehicle make, vehicle model, vehicle type, vehicle status is going to inherit from the common object, including job roles. Actually, the common object is used by almost every other module in this application. So let's get back here. Okay, so now that is what the common object is used for. But now why do we have all this red, we have this error here, we have it's marked in red, meaning that we don't have the dependency yet in our pom.xml. So I'm going to go to my pom.xml and let's download. Let's make sure we have the dependency. So the dependency we need is the JPA dependency. So to get this dependency, there are a number of ways. I think you can simply go to our MVN repository and simply look for JPA. So I'm going to JPA, I'm going to enter JPA and use Spring Boot Starter Data JPA. I can actually use this one. I'm going to copy it and go to put it in my pom.xml. So let me just make some room here. So I'm going to paste it right inside the pom.xml. I'd like to take out this here. And once you paste it, maybe you simply refresh by right clicking here. I'm going to Maven and simply click on reload. Once you reload, it's going to download this dependency and this error should go away. So if we go back to this place, you can see all the error magically they disappear because we now have the dependency in the class path. So let's just cross-check to make sure that we don't have any error. Okay, so these are common objects. Let me just explain it to you. You can see that we have the ID, description, and details. Now I manually add the constructors. So basically, you can add the constructors and the getters and the setters. How do you do this? Once you created this, you provide this annotation here to specify that this ID will be auto increment a field. That is why we have this Marked superclass means that the common object is a class that will be inherited by other classes, and you don't need to create a table called common object. We might have a table called department employee types table, employee status table, but we don't need any table called common objects table, and that's why it's a marked superclass. And what else is left to be explained? I think so far so good. And now we have other objects, for instance, country, locations, and every other thing is about the same. Okay, so take some time to get your head around this, and let's now, in the next part, we are now going to set up the HR data model. For now, we've completed the parameters data model, and we are going to continue with the HR data model in the next part. I'd like to thank you for viewing. If you have challenges, do let me know, and if this has been informative for you, please subscribe to my channel. And don't fail to look at the description box of this video for all the assets you need, or links to all the assets you need to complete this tutorial.